Namaste. Chapter 16. These words I have spoken to you, so that you do not stumble. They shall put you out of the assemblies, but an hour is coming when everyone who kills you shall think he is rendering service to Elohim. And this they shall do to you, because they did not know the Father, nor me. But I have said these words to you, so that when the hour comes you remember that I told them to you. And these words I did not say to you at the beginning, for I was with you. But now I go away to him who sent me, and not one of you asks me, where are you going? But because I have said these words to you, grief has filled your heart. But I say the truth to you, it is better for you that I go away. For if I do not go away, the Paraclete shall not come to you at all. But if I go, I shall send him to you. And having come, he shall reprove the world concerning sin, and concerning obedience, and concerning judgment. Concerning sin, because they do not believe in me. Concerning obedience, because I go to my Father, and you see me no more. Concerning judgment, because the ruler of this world is judged. I still have many words to say to you, but you are not able to bear them now. But when he comes, the Ruach of the truth, he shall guide you into all the truth. For he shall not speak from himself, but whatever he hears he shall speak, and he shall announce to you what is to come. He shall esteem me, for he shall take of what is mine and announce it to you. All that the Father has is mine. That is why I said that he takes from what is mine and announces it to you. A little while, and you do not see me, and again a little while, and you shall see me. Therefore some of his pupils said to one another, what is this that he says to us? A little while, and you do not see me, and again a little while, and you shall see me. And because I am going to the Father. So they said, what is this that he says a little while? We do not know what he is saying. Yah-ooh-sha, therefore, knew that they were wishing to ask him, and he said to them, are you asking one another about what I said? A little while, and you do not see me, and again a little while, and you shall see me? Truly, truly, I say to you, that you shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice. And you shall be grieved, but your grief shall become joy. The Asha has grief when she is in labor, because her hour has come. But as soon as she has given birth to the child, she no longer remembers the affliction, for joy that a man was born into the world. And you, therefore, have grief now, but I shall see you again, and your heart shall rejoice, and no one takes your joy away from you. And in that yom you shall ask me none at all. Truly, truly, I say to you, whatever you ask the Father in my name, he shall give you. Until now you have asked nothing in my name. Ask, and you shall receive, in order that your joy might be complete. These words I have spoken to you in figures of speech, but an hour is coming when I shall no longer speak to you in figures of speech, but I shall declare the Father plainly to you. In that yom you shall ask in my name, and I do not say to you that I shall pray the Father on your behalf, for the Father himself does love you, because you have loved me, and have believed that I came forth from Elohim. I came forth from the Father and have come into the world. Again I leave the world and go to the Father. His pupils said to him, see, now you are speaking plainly, and not using a figure of speech. Now we know that you know all, and have no need that anyone should question you. By this we believe that you came forth from Elohim. Yah-ooh-sha answered them, do you not believe? See, an hour is coming, and has now come, that you are scattered, each to his own, and leave me alone. Yet I am not alone, because the Father is with me. These words I have spoken to you, that in me you might have peace. In the world you have pressure, but take courage, I have overcome the world. Yah-ooh-sha said these words, and lifted up his eyes to the heaven, and said, Father, the hour has come. Esteem your Son, so that your Son might also might esteem you, as you have given him authority over all flesh, that he should give everlasting life to all whom you have given him. And this is everlasting life, that they should know you, the only true Allahim, and Yah-ooh-sha HaMashiach, whom you have sent. I have esteemed you on the adats, having accomplished the work you have given me that I should do. And now esteem me with yourself, Father, with the esteem which I had with you before the world was. I have revealed your name to the men whom you gave me out of the world. They were yours, and you gave them to me, and they have guarded your word. Now they have come to know that all you gave to me is from you, because the words which you gave to me I have given to them, and they have received them, and have truly known that I came forth from you. And they believe that you sent me. I pray for them. I do not pray for the world, but for those whom you have given me, for they are yours. And all mine are yours, and yours are mine, and I have been esteemed in them. And I am no more in the world, but these are in the world, and I come to you. Kodesh, Father, guard them in your name which you have given me, so that they might be one as we are. When I was with them in the world, I was guarding them in your name which you have given me, and I watched over them, and not one of them perished except the son of destruction, that the scripture might be filled. And now I come to you, and I speak these words in the world, so that they have my joy completed in them. I have given them your word, and the world hated them because they are not of the world, as I am not of the world. I do not pray that you should take them out of the world, but that you keep them from the wicked one. They are not of the world, as I am not of the world. Set them apart in your truth. Your word is truth. As you sent me into the world, I also sent them into the world. And for them I set myself apart, so that they too might be set apart in truth. And I do not pray for these alone, but also for those believing in me through their word, so that they all might be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, so that they too might be one in us, so that the world might believe that you have sent me. And the esteem which you gave me I have given them, so that they might be one as we are one, I in them, and you in me, so that they might be perfected into one, so that the world knows that you have sent me, and have loved them as you have loved me. Father, I desire that those whom you have given me might be with me where I am, so that they see my esteem which you have given me, because you loved me before the foundation of the world. O obedient Father, indeed the world did not know you, but I knew you, and these knew that you sent me. And I have made your name known to them, and shall make it known, so that the love with which you loved me might be in them, and I in them. Chapter 18. Having said these words, Yah-ooh-sha went out with his pupils beyond the Kidron stream, where there was a garden, into which he and his pupils entered. And Yahuda, who delivered him up, also knew the place, because Yah-ooh-sha often met there with his pupils. Yahuda then, having received the mob, and officers from the chief priests and Pharisees, came there with lanterns and torches and weapons. Yah-ooh-sha then, knowing all that would come upon him, went forward and said to them, Whom do you seek? They answered him, Yah-ooh-sha of Nazareth. Yah-ooh-sha said to them, I am. And Yahuda, who delivered him up, was also standing with them. When, therefore, he said to them, I am, they drew back and fell to the ground. Once more he asked them, Whom do you seek? And they said, Yah-ooh-sha of Nazareth. Yah-ooh-sha answered, I said to you that I am. If, then, you seek me, allow these to go, in order that the word might be filled which he spoke. Of those whom you have given me, I have lost none. Then Shimon Kepha, having a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant, and cut off his right ear. And the servant's name was Malach. Then Yah-ooh-sha said to Kepha, Put your sword into the sheath. Shall I not drink the cup which my father has given me? Then the mob and the commander and the officers of the Yahudim seized Yah-ooh-sha and bound him, and they led him away to Canaan first, for he was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, who was high priest that year. Now Caiaphas was the one who gave counsel to the Yahudim that it was better that one man should die for the people. And Shimon Kepha followed Yah-ooh-sha with another pupil, and that pupil was known to the high priest, and went with Yah-ooh-sha into the courtyard of the high priest. But Kepha was standing outside at the door. So the other Talmid, who was known to the high priest, went out and spoke to her who kept the door, and brought Kepha in. Then the servant girl who kept the door said to Kepha, "Are you also one of this man's Talmidim?" He said, "I am not." And the servants and officers who had made a fire of coals stood there, because it was cold, and they warmed themselves. And Kepha was standing with them and warming himself. Then the high priest asked Yah-ooh-sha about his pupils and his teaching. Yah-ooh-sha answered him, "I spoke openly to the world. I always taught in the assembly and in the Kodesh place, where the Yahudim always meet, and I spoke no word in secret. Why do you ask me? Ask those who have heard me what I said to them. See, they know what I said." And when he had said this, one of the officers who stood by slapped Yah-ooh-sha in the face, saying, "Do you answer the high priest this way?" Yah-ooh-sha answered him, "If I have spoken evilly, bear witness of the evil, but if well, why do you strike me?" Then Canaan sent him bound to the high priest, Caiaphas. And Shimon Kepha was standing and warming himself. Then they said to him, "Are you also one of his pupils?" He denied it and said, "I am not." One of the servants of the high priest, a relative of the one whose ear Kepha cut off, said, "Did I not see you in the garden with him?" Then Kepha again denied it, and immediately a rooster crowed. Then they led Yah-ooh-sha from Caiaphas to the palace, and it was early. And they themselves did not go into the palace, lest they should be defiled, but that they might eat the Passover. Pilate, therefore, came out to them and said, "What accusation do you bring against this man?" They answered and said to him, "If he were not an evildoer, we would not have delivered him up to you." Then Pilate said to them, "You take him and judge him according to your law." The Yahudim said to him, "It is not right for us to put anyone to death," in order that the word of Yah-ooh-sha might be filled which he spoke, signifying by what death he was about to die. Then Pilate went back into the palace and called Yah-ooh-sha and said to him, "Are you the king of the Yahudim?" Yah-ooh-sha answered him, "Do you say this from yourself, or did others talk to you about me?" Pilate answered, "Am I a Yahudi? Your own nation and the chief priests have delivered you to me. What did you do?" Yah-ooh-sha answered, "My reign is not of this world. If my reign were of this world, my servants would fight so that I should not be delivered to the Yahudim. But now my reign is not from here." Then Pilate said to him, "You are a king, then." Yah-ooh-sha answered, "You say it because I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I have come into the world, that I should bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice." Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" And when he had said this, he went out again to the Yahudim and said to them, "I find no guilt in him. But you have a habit that I shall release someone to you at the Passover. Do you wish, then, that I release to you the king of the Yahudim?" Then they all shouted again, saying, "Not this one, but Barabbas." And Barabbas was a robber. Chapter 19. Then, therefore, Pilate took Yah-ooh-sha and scourged him. And the soldiers plaited a crown of thorns and placed it on his head, and they put a purple robe on him, and came to him and said, "Greetings, King of the Yahudim." And they slapped him in the face. And Pilate went outside again and said to them, "See, I am bringing him out to you to let you know that I find no guilt in him." Then Yah-ooh-sha came outside, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. And Pilate said to them, "See the man." So when the chief priests and officers saw him, they shouted, saying, "Impale, impale." Pilate said to them, "You take him and impale him, for I find no guilt in him." The Yahudim answered him, "We have a law, and according to our law he ought to die, for he has made himself the son of Elohim." So when Pilate heard this word, he was more terrified, and went back into the palace and asked Yah-ooh-sha, "Where are you from?" But Yah-ooh-sha gave him no answer. Then Pilate said to him, "Do you not speak to me? Do you not know that I possess authority to impale you, and I possess authority to release you?" Yah-ooh-sha answered, "You will possess no authority against me if it were not given you from above. Because of this, he who delivered me to you has greater sin." From then on, Pilate was seeking to release him, but the Yahudim shouted, saying, "If you release this one, you are not Caesar's friend. Everyone who makes himself a king does speak against Caesar." Therefore, when Pilate heard these words, he brought Yah-ooh-sha out and sat down in the judgment seat in a place that is called Pavement, but in Hebrew, Gabata. And it was the preparation Yom of the Passover week, and about the 6th hour. And he said to the Yahudim, "See your king." But they shouted, "Away, away, impale him." Pilate said to them, "Shall I impale your king?" The chief priests answered, "We have no king except Caesar." At that time, then, he delivered him to them to be impaled. And they took Yah-ooh-sha and led him away, and bearing his stake, he went out to the so-called place of a skull, which is called in Hebrew Golgotha, where they impaled him, and others with him, one on this side and one on that side, and Yah-ooh-sha in the middle. And Pilate wrote a title too, and put it on the stake, and it was written, "Yah-ooh-sha of Nazareth, the King of the Yahudim." Many of the Yahudim therefore read this title, for the place where Yah-ooh-sha was impaled was near the city, and it was written in Hebrew, in Greek, and in Roman. So the chief priests of the Yahudim said to Pilate, "Do not write the King of the Yahudim," but he said, "I am the King of the Yahudim." Pilate answered, "What I have written, I have written." Then the soldiers, when they had impaled Yah-ooh-sha, took his outer garments and made 4 parts, to each soldier a part, and the inner garment. But the inner garment was without seam, woven from the top in one piece. So they said to each other, "Let us not tear it, but cast lots for it, whose it shall be," in order that the scripture might be filled, which says, "They divided my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots." The soldiers therefore indeed did this. And by the stake of Yah-ooh-sha stood his mother and his mother's sister, Miriam the Asha of Clotha, and Miriam from Magdala. Then Yah-ooh-sha, seeing his mother and the pupil whom he loved standing by, he said to his mother, "Asha, see your son." Then to the pupil he said, "See your mother." And from that hour the pupil took her to his own. After this, Yah-ooh-sha, knowing that all had been accomplished, in order that the scripture might be accomplished, said, "I thirst." A bowl of sour wine stood there, and they filled a sponge with sour wine, put it on hyssop, and held it to his mouth. So when Yah-ooh-sha took the sour wine, he said, "It is finished." And bowing his head, he gave up his ruach. Therefore, since it was the preparation Yom, that the bodies should not remain on the stake on the Shabbat, for that Shabbat was a high one, the Yahudim asked Pilate to have their legs broken, and that they be taken away. Therefore the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first, and of the other who was impaled with him. But when they came to Yah-ooh-sha and saw that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. But one of the soldiers pierced his side with a spear, and immediately blood and water came out. and he who has seen this has witnessed, and his witness is true. And he knows that he is speaking the truth, in order that you might believe. For this took place in order for the scripture to be filled. Not one of his bones shall be broken. And again another scripture says, they shall look on him whom they pierced. And after this, Yosef of Ramatayim, being a pupil of Yah-usha, but secretly, for fear of the Yahudim, asked Pilate that he might take the body of Yah-usha, and Pilate gave him permission. Therefore he came and took the body of Yah-usha. And Nakadimon, who at first came to Yah-usha by Lailah, also came, bringing a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100 pounds. Then they took the body of Yah-usha and bound it in linen wrappings with the spices, as was the habit of the Yahudim for burial. And at the place where he was impaled there was a garden, and in the garden a fresh tomb in which no one had yet been laid. There, then, because of the preparation yom of the Yahudim, they laid Yah-usha, because the tomb was near. Chapter 20. And on the first yom of the week, Miriam from Magdala came early to the tomb, while it was still dark, and saw that the stone had been removed from the tomb. So she ran and came to Shimon Kepha, and to the other pupil whom Yah-usha loved, and said to them, they have taken Adoni out of the tomb, and we do not know where they laid him. Then Kepha and the other pupil went out, and they were going to the tomb, and the two were running together, but the other Talmud outran Kepha and came to the tomb first. And stooping down he saw the linen wrappings lying, but he did not go in. Then Shimon Kepha came, following him, and went into the tomb. And he saw the linen wrappings lying, and the cloth which had been on his head, not lying with the linen wrappings, but folded up in a place by itself. So then the other pupil, who came to the tomb first, also went in. And he saw and believed, for they did not yet know the scripture, that he has to rise again from the dead. Therefore the Talmidim went away again by themselves. But Miriam was standing outside by the tomb weeping. Then as she wept, she stooped down to the tomb, and saw two messengers in white sitting, one at the head and the other at the feet, where the body of Yah-usha had been laid. And they said to her, Asha, why do you weep? She said to them, because they took away my Adoni, and I do not know where they laid him. And having said this, she turned around and saw Yah-usha standing, but she did not know that it was Yah-usha. Yah-usha said to her, Asha, why do you weep? Whom do you seek? Thinking he was the gardener, she said to him, Sir, if you have carried him away, say to me where you put him, and I shall take him away. Yah-usha said to her, Miriam. She turned and said to him, Rabboni, which means instructor. Yah-usha said to her, do not touch me, for I have not yet ascended to my Father, but go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, and to my Allahim and your Allahim. Miriam from Magdala came announcing to the pupils that she had seen the Adoni, and that he had told her this. When therefore it was evening on that yom, the first yom of the week, and when the doors were shut where the pupils met, for fear of the Yahudim, Yah-usha came and stood in the midst, and said to them, Peace to you. And having said this, he showed them his hands and his side. The pupils therefore rejoiced when they saw the Adoni. Then Yah-usha said to them again, Peace to you. As the Father has seen me, I also send you. As the Father has sent me, I also send you. And having said this, he breathed on them and said to them, Receive the Kodesh, Ruach. If you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven them. If you retain the sins of any, they have been retained. But Toma, called the twin, one of the 12, was not with them when Yah-usha came. So the other pupils said to him, We have seen Adoni. But he said to them, Unless I see in his hands the mark of the nails, and put my finger into the imprint of the nails, and put my hand into his side, I shall by no means believe. And after 8 yomim, his pupils were again inside, and Toma with them. Yah-ooh-sha came, the doors having been shut, and he stood in the midst and said, "Peace to you." Then he said to Toma, "Bring your finger here and see my hands, and bring your hand and put it into my side, and do not be unbelieving, but believing." And Toma answered and said to him, "Ma'aduni and ma'alahim." Yah-ooh-sha said to him, "Toma, because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and have believed." There were indeed many other signs that Yah-ooh-sha did in the presence of his pupils, which are not written in this book, but these have been written so that you believe that Yah-ooh-sha is the Mashiach, the son of Elohim, and that, believing, you might possess life in his name. Oh, sorry. It'll get better with time. Okay. Namaste. In King Yah-usha's name, God bless you all. Amein. Namaste.